So the next question which is asked frequently is called as your encoder. Okay, so in the last video we have seen the difference between encoder, decoder, multiplexer and demultiplexer. So today we'll study about encoder. So what is meant by an encoder? Encoder is a circuit which does the opposite of that of your decoder, right? So it does the reverse operation of decoder. It is a combinational circuit that has 2 power n input lines and n output lines. So this figure gives you the block diagram where you have 2 power n input lines and you have n output lines. Okay, so it converts the input signal into the corresponding binary output. Okay, so the output line generates the binary code corresponding to the input value. Here there is one important feature that at any one instant of time only one input will be high. Okay, so only one input has a value of 1 at any given time. So one of the example is 8 to 3 encoder. It is also called as octal to binary encoder. Suppose for example we are taking a 4 is to 2 encoder, then you will be having 2 outputs and what will be the number of inputs? 4 inputs. Okay, 4 inputs and 2 outputs. So output is 2. So 2 power 2 is equal to 4. So you will be having 4 number of inputs. Similarly, 8 is to 3 encoder. How can you draw the block diagram? So you will be having 8 is to 3 encoder, right? So you will be having 3 output and 2 power 3 which is equal to 8. 8 inputs, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inputs. So this will be your 8 input. 8 is to 3 encoder. So now moving on to your 8 is to 3 encoder. So in the case of 8 is to 3 encoder, this is your block diagram where you have the D0 to D7 as your corresponding inputs and your corresponding outputs is equal to X, Y and Z. So once you draw the block diagram, your next step is your truth table. So in the case of the truth table, you have your inputs is taken as D0, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6 and D7 and your output is taken as X, Y and Z. So as I have mentioned before, at any one instant of time, only one input will be high. Okay, so your output you are going to code it into another one form, binary code. Coded form. So suppose see here for example D0 is equal to 1 for your first case. When D0 is equal to 1 your all output is equal to 0. When D1 is equal to 1 it gives you a binary representation of 1. When D2 is equal to 1 it gives 0 1 0. When D3 is equal to 1 it gives you a binary representation of 0 1 1. So for D4 when it is high you will be getting 1 0 0. When D5 is high you will be getting 1 0 1 and when D6 is high you will be getting 1 1 0 and when D7 is high you will be getting it as 1 1 1. So what is your next step? Once you have done your truth table, your next step is to draw write your logic expression. Okay, so how will you write your logic expression? So for consider for the first case X, right? X is equal to high for what are the conditions? D4, D5, D6 and D7, right? So D4, D5, D6, D7. So it will be addition of 4 combinations. So I can write that X is equal to D4 plus D5 plus D6 plus D7. Similarly, where is your Y? Y is high in the condition D2, D3, right? And D6 and D7. So I can write Y is equal to D2 plus D3 plus D6 plus D7. Similarly, see your Z condition. Z is equal to, what is this? When D1 is high. D1, D3, D5 and D7. So I can write Z is equal to D1 plus D3 plus D5 plus D7. Okay, so once you have done your logic expression, your next step is to draw your logic diagram. So when you're moving on to the next slide, the case of logic diagram. So you know that when D0 is equal to 0, right? When D0 is equal to high, your output is 0, 0, 0. So there is no connection. So what about your outputs X, Y and Z? X is equal to D4 plus D5 plus D6 plus D7. So you can understand that D4, right? Then D5, D6 and D7. X is equal to D4 plus D5 plus D6 plus D7. It is connected by using an OR gate. Okay. Now what will happen to your output y? Y is equal to d2 plus d3 plus d6 plus d7, right? So you will be having this is d7, d6, d3 and d2. Similarly, z is equal to d1 plus d3 plus d5 plus d7. So where is your d7, d7 plus d5 plus d3 plus d1? Okay, so these are the expressions which you have to write for your means which you have to draw it according to your logic diagram. So if it is asked for 8 marks, then you have to start with your block diagram, followed by your truth table, then followed by your logic expression, followed by your logic diagram.